So welcome to the last part of our video presentation for lesson number 2 dealing with the cellular structures and functions. So last time in our previous video presentation, we talked about the extracellular matrix or the ECM, which can be found only among the animal cells. So take note that ECM, these are structures that are not present among plant cells. Instead, they have the cell wall as its main counterpart. But did you know that just like the ECM, there are some other structures in the cell that exist in which they have similar functions just like in the case of ECM. So recall that the main function of ECM is for interaction among various types of cells and for communication, the transmission of molecular signals resulting to communication. But aside from extracellular matrix, there are other structures that exist among various types of cells in which they have interaction and communication as well as their main function. So, this will be known as the cell junctions, which will be the last part of our topic for the different parts of the cell. So cell junctions as well as ECM have the same functions in which they interact and they are being used for cellular communications. But what is the main difference between ECM and cell junctions despite the fact that they have similar functions? Okay? So ECM is located outside the cell membrane based from our previous lesson. However, cell junctions, these are cellular structures that are used for cellular communication and interaction, but they exist among adjacent cells. They exist among adjacent cells, meaning to say neighboring cells. So adjacent cells meaning to say they are the neighboring cells. So remember, we have group of cells known as tissues. So meaning to say cell junctions exist among adjacent cells in which they form tissues. And cell junctions are also responsible for the interaction and cellular communication, just like in the case of ECM. So in our lesson, we have the cell junctions. Okay? So in this case, we will be having the flowchart so that we can visualize the organization of the cell junctions along with its major functions. So cell junctions can be divided into two groups. Okay, so you have the following examples. So you have the cell junctions in which these cell junctions can be divided into two. We have animal cell, and then the second one we have the plant cell. So in the case of plant cell, an example of cell junction will be known as the plasmodesmata. So plasmodesmata is the cell junction for the plant cell. Okay? And then for the animal cell, you have tight junctions. Second, desmosomes. And in the third one, gap junctions. So, tight junctions, desmosomes, and gap junctions are the cell junctions for the animal cell. On the other hand, plasmodesmata will be the cell junction for the plant cell. And since all of these are examples of cell junctions, it means that they are responsible for cellular interaction and communication among the adjacent and neighboring cells that will form tissues. So for the next video presentation, we will discuss plasmodesmata for the cell junction of plant cells.